I'm Elizabeth Fourrier, and we're at Cornerstone Funeral Services in Boring, Oregon. And this funeral home here is here for a specific reason. Not only, of course, to help families and help families who have lost loved ones, but we are almost nonprofit and we are extremely low priced, and we are here just to be affordable and economical. The doors opened about 7 years ago and the prices have never raised, and I try to do what I can for the community. I was a mortician in the Portland area, and the man who opened this place needed somebody to run it, and he was looking for a search, and he wanted a female. He wanted somebody who had a good reputation in the funeral industry, and I received a call. And I heard there's a little funeral home out in Boring, Oregon, and somebody needs to come out and run it, and is this something you want to do? And at that point in my life, I just had a boyfriend who was working at the same funeral home with me, and this seemed so remote. I thought, gosh, Boring, I think that's up by Mount Hood. It just seems so far away and so crazy, and of course, you know, could be boring. So I came out for the interview, and as I drove up here, I was coming along the Clackamas River, and it was gorgeous, and it was scenic, and it was green and lovely, and the energy just seemed creative and wonderful. And when I got here in this small little town, it was kind of idyllic with smiley faces, and I stopped at the corner store and everybody was so kind. And when I came into the driveway here, it just felt right, and the man waiting for me just looked like a tall Yoda, and he just seemed great. So anyways, we got to meet, we got to talk, and I just thought, I think this is where I need to be. I have no overhead, so I'm not paying for the fancy pillars and the marble facade and the beautiful huge hearse, so I don't have those sort of payments going on. This is a remodeled goat barn, so I'm able to actually go ahead and take care of life as is, pay the minimal bills as possible. I'm not getting rich, so that's one thing, I guess, with something which is that. I can't claim it as a nonprofit. It's not 501c3 status. However, we don't mark up our urns and our caskets and our merchandise, things like that. We just try to provide at cost to families as much as we can, and I charge just enough to be able to keep the doors open and keep the lights on and feel like I can actually eat. I think a lot of funeral directors and funeral homes over the years have garnered a bit of a bad reputation. Not only what we see in Hollywood, but also there are expensive prices. We hear that the national average for a full funeral and burial is about $6,000. So people price shop a lot, and they call around, and I'll get a phone call, and I'll tell them what the price is, and they'll say, and that also means you're coming to the house, and that also means you're giving us a casket, and they're kind of blown away by prices. I think that's something big, but not so much just the price and it's less expensive. I actually care about the people calling, and I like to talk with them. I like to see how they're doing. I go to people's houses and make arrangements. When they come into the funeral home, I like to actually have food which would be to their ethnicity, something to make them comfortable. Out here in Oregon, we have, I would say, Caucasian. We don't really have a lot of diversity really at all. But again, I want to do something which speaks to people if they have been from here forever. If I hear them talk about, oh, you know, Grandpa liked his grits or what have you, you know, something. It depends on if I'm making some sort of bread or some sort of brownie or whatever. So it's fun. It's really fun to be one person in the country and be able to do what the heck I want to do. That's a nice thing about kind of having your own shop. I don't have to play by anybody's rules. I don't have to wear black all the time. I kind of can just make it happen. So when I was in a small town and also had a deceased parent and also deceased grandparents, I kind of became the go-to girl for death. So if somebody had a question about grandma died, or the cat died, or the dog died, or what have you, I'd be this person they know they could talk to and be comfortable with. And then when we got a little bit older, it moved into, well, if they had a sibling die or a parent die or what have you, I kind of became somebody who they knew, again, experienced it, they could talk to. So going into the death industry became really natural. There are women in this industry. In the beginning, it was primarily wives of funeral home owners, or it was going to be the daughter of somebody who had a funeral home. And it was primarily somebody who went into it because it was a family business. Now, I am proud to say, it's 60% women. It has really changed. It was very much an old boys club and then changed into female because it is kind of a touchy-feely thing. And when families come in to make an arrangement and it's not the old, stodgy, skinny, clammy hand man that they see in the movies, they think, huh, that's kind of nice. There's that sort of sense of, oh gosh, okay, talking to a female makes me feel more at ease because this female is the person who's dealing with my loved one physically. This female seems like this is somebody who maybe I can talk to a little bit more. I think men have been great in this industry, but it's a new change, it's a new time, new era. What I'm working on now is a lot of writing and programs for green burial. And green burial is burying somebody without chemicals and without embalming and without metals. And it's a way to protect the environment, protect the earth, and it's also less expensive for families being buried in wicker and being buried someplace where you're not paying for a grave lining or a metal casket or what have you. It's a lot more affordable. Actually, here in Clackamas County, you can bury people on your home property if you're in a rural area. So I've been helping families take care of home burials. Even from when a loved one dies at home, allowing them to have their loved one at home. If they want to be with the body, if they want family to come in, there's a lot of things that are guidelines in the state, in all states, that people can actually take advantage of. You do not have to turn your loved one over to a funeral home or to a mortician. You can really do a lot of hands-on things and be there for that person. So I'm really encouraging people to get the closure they need and to save the money and to go ahead and just really do whatever they feel is right for their loved one. This is something that's definitely been out and been around, and actually natural burial was before time. The ashes to ashes, dust to dust, that's what people did. We would go ahead, somebody passed away, you bury them in your backyard. That's just what we did. You'd have the funeral home in your own parlor, and we wouldn't really get the funeral home too involved. What happened was embalming started because of the Civil War. We had people dying in different states, and we needed to get our sons and our brothers home. They had to be embalmed before they got put on the train and brought back, and normally at that point they were brought to some sort of a parlor or a funeral home, and then that started really the funeral home just taking over for the body and not really dealing with it on the home front. How I actually received this nomination was just so fun and such an honor to me to hear from you, because I guess apparently you had received an email from a family that I had helped, and they were of Irish descent, and they came in one day and I had some soda bread and some shepherd's pie for them, and it turned out that they weren't able to pay for a funeral. And so this is a family I was able to help, and I did it through their church, and they thought the church had gone ahead to take care of everything, but somehow the pastor let the cat out of the bag that it was the funeral home, which is fine, I don't mind, but anyways, that's what happened. So she was able to say, hey, I really want to go ahead and nominate this person for doing such a kind thing. So that was really touching. Understand that your local funeral director is here to answer questions for you, and all funeral directors out there are there to answer questions for you. And just because there's been some things that have happened in the industry, most of us have lost somebody in our lives. Most people are in this industry because they actually do care, because they want to be there for people when something does happen. And you know, life is really an amazing circle. Life is a part of death, and death is a part of life.